you come to me, Lady Mensah or Ajani, you're butt naked. We see everything. You can't hide in a birth chart. So because I see everything, it's like in that 90-minute session that I have with you, like Ajani said, I'm going to give you these different healing things. We're going to work on meditations. We're going to work on your dream book, this and that, and your different emotional wounds, whether it's Pluto, Lilith, or Chiron, and you're going to be done, and you're going to be, now it's going to take time for you to integrate it, but you're going to be healed in a well-oiled machine. And then you have your marching orders to really watch and learn what these planets mean and then integrate it into your life.
Offer like, yeah, it's Mercury retrograde, so don't worry about it. Or, yeah, the moon is in this sign, so you're a little more sad today. I think for me, being in the medical field and working in psych, the transit that I most pay attention to is Saturn transits, because I feel like that's when you start feeling like suicidal or like under so much pressure or something like that. So if I notice that in like one of my clients' charts or anything like that, that there's significant Saturn energy, I always tell them like, I'm not sure if you've been feeling this way, but if it's come up, I just want you to know it's because of this, and then like give them something to kind of get through it.
In America, that is when the Civil War started, like within a week of that conjunction. And so I'm looking at like, okay, I know that when we got that Aries new moon in 2026, we're going to have 5 planets in Aries, and it's going to be real. And so I'm thinking like, what is that? What is the symbolism? I could tell you what I'm doing personally. I am not watching the news because one thing that I've learned since 2014 I read daily astrology. I read the every single day astrology. And so I've been tracking patterns and do a little research, put it like an hour in every day. And one thing I've noticed is that the news is a movie.
All right, y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Coffee Shop, and today we're doing astrology, and it's gonna be a good show. We've been waiting a long time to do this one. I'm super excited because in all things spirituality, I got to be real with you guys. I need education in astrology because I've gone out into the astrology world, and for years I've gone and you go online and you put your birthday in and they say, oh, you're a Gemini, these are your traits. And that's as deep as I went. But, once I started getting into the deeper, I'm like, dude, this is actually pretty crazy because there's a lot of math involved in it. And, you could go all the way back into like the Vedics, astrology. And it's actually far older than I ever even thought. So I guess like one place I'd like to start is like, you guys kind of give a background and like on astrology and like how long you've been doing it and just your definition of how you can use it and whatnot. So go ahead and jump in there, Eric. Get in there.
Well, thank you, first of all, for having me and all of us on your show and your podcast. This is really awesome. I feel like I've been doing astrology forever. But professionally, this is the start of my 8th year being an intuitive astrologer. And I just love astrology. Growing up, I kind of just knew like, oh, well, mom's a Taurus, dad's an Aries, my sister's a Libra, and I'm a Virgo. And, just like you, it was all about the sun signs. And I got to a place where I really mastered the sun signs. But I stepped away from astrology, was born again Christian, and then came back. But really came back through a sickness, so I started researching medical astrology. And just like how you were saying, astrology is so detailed, it really explains and breaks down every aspect of your life. And so astrology, when you start to really understand all of the planets, right, and know that you've got a Mercury and a Venus and Mars, it really gives you such a very nuanced detail to the complexities that make up a human being and a soul. So I consider it the map of your life and the remembrance of your soul, the natal birth chart. So I love it, and I help people all over the world, and it's my honor and my pleasure to do so.
Awesome, awesome, man. So when you say intuitive, give us a definition of what you mean by intuitive astrology.
So for me, a couple things. I have Uranus and Libra in the 12th house of my natal birth chart. So often I will dream about my clients' charts before I actually work with them. But I am an NDE survivor. 4 years ago today, I was still sleeping in a coma. I had a near-death experience. And what has happened since then, my spiritual gifts have increased. I don't say like clairs or psychic or medium. I don't like to throw labels on. But what happens is, like, when I'm reading your chart, sometimes I will literally get downloads in the middle of a session with a client, and that I can kind of see you playing out a placement, right? Like your Libra moon in the third house, I can see you like working with the band, or I could see you doing advertising and marketing and sales. And sometimes what I'm seeing is even beyond my astrological knowledge. So that makes it extremely intuitive. And my intuition, just my whole life, has been very, very strong and very on point. So that's sometimes literally how it plays out for me, just like getting flashes of you performing the astrological placement that I'm describing or explaining to my client.
That part, yeah, that's awesome. I bet that gives a whole new definition and a whole new aspect to the way you do your readings. I think that's super awesome. You know what I mean? Getting into spirituality, more often than not, you're finding more people are intuitive in that respect, the way that you're talking about, where you're kind of pulling from the, let's say, the Akash, or, however you would refer to it. Well, give us a little bit of background on you, Ajani, and your style of reading and whatnot.
Yeah, thanks. Hi. Thanks so much for having me on your show. And it's so good to see all your beautiful faces on my phone right now. So I have been into astrology since I learned how to read. And I have 5 planets in Pisces, so I'm very mystical, dreamy, visionary, super psychically sensitive since I have memories of having memories. I've been very sensitive. So finding astrology kind of gave me words for the way that I was sensing the world. And so I started reading about astrology as a little girl. And when I was 16, I went to Bone Thugs and Harmony concert with my friend Dina, and her mother, who I'm Christian. I've always been a Christian. I grew up in church. I'm on my 3rd time reading the Bible right now. Um, my friend's mom, very Christian. I was in the back seat of the car on the way home from this Bone Thugs and Harmony concert, and I was reading an astrology book, and she grabbed the book out of my hand and threw it out the car as they were driving. And she was like, "This is the devil's work." And and so from that moment on, I was like, I am going to learn everything about if this made this woman throw my book out. It must be something that I really need to know. And that was at 16 years old. So, but I started reading professionally for people in 2013, 2014. I was charging $20 a reading because I was just wanted to, I did my first 100 readings at $20 a reading. And then I started like charging the right way, is like my little practice. And so since 2014, I've been reading professionally. And the thing that got me to do it professionally is that I've been a practitioner of the healing arts as my career since forever. I was in the military as a hospital corpsman, doing the healing arts in the medical way. And then when I got out, studied massage therapy, and I've been going all over the world studying the healing arts. And I mean, really, I lived in India for 2 years studying yoga and their form of astrology. Their form of healing incorporates astrology, incorporates gemstones, incorporates foods, lifestyle. It's like the whole package on healing. So I got really, really deep into the Indian way of healing, which includes astrology. And the thing that got me to start reading for other people actually was a heartbreak where it just like kind of destroyed my identity structure. And that was back when Chiron was going through Pisces. And like I mentioned, I have 5 planets in Pisces. Chiron transits are very transformative, really deconstructing your ego identity. And during that time, I wrote a book called The Alchemy of Intimacy, and it's a guidebook to your personal relationship material from an astrological perspective. And I also use some of the Tantra Yoga philosophy from Shaivism, from Kashmirian Tantra Yoga. And the whole point of my getting to read for other people was that I realized a lot of the body's somatics, like healing crisis that we're having in our body, whether it's sore joints or fibromyalgia or digestive issues, can be worked on by looking at the chart, because the body is showing us something that is it's guiding us toward um, a malalignment in some sort of a way. And it could be just our thinking, the way we're perceiving ourselves and our reality. And astrology is such an amazing tool for shifting our perception of reality and seeing the alternatives instead of, we get stuck in a way of seeing a situation. And then if I can read for somebody and tell them their story from a different perspective of the planets, healing happens instantly. I give people like a 3-day window after their reading to like their dreams and their perceptions, and like drink more water and allow the process. It is healing to the soma for getting an astrology reading can really heal your physical body. So that's where I'm at with astrology. Again, I'm a Christian. I'm really into the Bible and all that. And that's been kind of weird because Christian people think that astrology is evil. And then people who are like in the spiritual world think that Christians are weird. So I'm just kind of like, I'm not black, I'm not white, I'm not Christian, I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm like all
We have to let them know, right? Astrology is in the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran.
Totally. Yeah, thanks for hearing me out, guys.
Yeah, no, automatic. That's what we're here to do. And just 2 of you have spoke so far, and already I'm mind blown. And I understand that I'm not black, I'm not white, because my mom's white and my dad's black. So I've always been in that middle center line. And I also used to be Christian. I'll call myself a recovering Christian currently. But deep into the spiritual world, and in spirituality, of course, we all preach that no judgment. But I hear you, being Christian and doing astrology. Because when we were trying to set this up, there was a couple times that y'all replied and like, "Oh, I got church on Sunday." I was like, "Damn, how does that work?"
Yeah.
Go ahead, lady. That's all you know.
Okay. So yes, my name is Lady Mensah, and I am a holistic healer. I first am a nurse, and that's a part of the journey of being in the medical field. And really, I started learning astrology as a young girl also, like maybe 12, 11. And at that point, it was just sun sign, the regular surface nonsense. And I have a really big family, so it's like it was a way that I used it to understand everybody and get along with everybody, like, because there's so many of us, like, so it was like, oh, she does act like that, oh, he acts like that, I act like this, like, you know what I mean? So it did help me to understand people, and I just kept doing that like for most of my life. And it was mainly sun sign astrology, but I was always into astrology and always like, oh, what's your sign, and looking it up and studying it from a young girl until 2016, where on the job I had a slip and fall, and I had to get surgery on my knee, and it was supposed to be a 6-week healing process. I ended up being out for almost 9 months, and in that time I realized that our health is really a mind, body, soul. It's more holistic. So the doctors couldn't understand, like, it's like, oh, we fixed it, but why can't you walk still? And I was already on my own journey of making jewelry. I didn't know I was making crystal healing jewelry. I was just attracted to the stones. Like, thank you, okay. Like, And a friend of mine had let me know, like, those are like healing properties. So when I went to the doctor and we couldn't figure out why I was not being able to like really be healed, I like went in my office and I was like, let me find out about these stones. I found this lady, my mentor, and she has like a crystal shop, and she didn't do one-on-one classes, but she was so nice to do some classes with me when I went in. The stones I was attracted to happened to be post-surgical stones. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So I started to look into it a little bit more. And in looking into it, I found something about like, it was stones that I was looking into more. And it was like, for your love stone, like do your astrology chart. And I did it. And it was like, I'm a Venus and Aries. So it was like, I need diamonds. I was like, oh, I need diamonds. So I was like, make sure you give me real diamonds. Let's not play any games. But in that, I saw the chart, and that's when I was like, oh my goodness. And I started to learn more about it. And in learning more about it, I was like, I'm going to learn how to read my chart. So I started to teach myself how to read my chart, and it showed that I had Saturn going through my 6th house. That's why I was hurt. That's why I had surgery. That's why I wasn't able to go to work. Like, that's why it was like a daily thing. So I started to then be like, oh my goodness, this is real. I was at work having trouble with my bosses, Saturn in the 6th house. I was being bullied. I was being like, they was talking about me behind my back. Like, all of this is 6th house Saturn. And I have Neptune, my own placements in 6th house. Like, so I had Neptune there, right? So I started to, that's Saturn and Neptune together in the 6th house is like on a daily basis. Like, astrology is coming down to real life for me. like I'm seeing things, I'm feeling things in real life. Like I'm learning things in real life. And Saturn is there for 3 years. So that was me studying astrology, not just being a sun sign, blah, blah, blah. Like, and then what I started to do, because I am an Aquarius and I have a lot of 8th house energy, and I also am a Virgo moon. So I need the answers. So I started researching, like going back, like, oh my gosh. So me and my sisters tried to do this business venture one time, and everything was fighting us. Everything was fighting us. It wasn't working. It wasn't working. It wasn't working. At the end of the day, we did the shoot, and nothing happened from the shoot. It was like a disaster, hard, and nothing produced. And when I looked back, it was a Mercury retrograde. I was like, oh my goodness. Right? So then things just kept happening. And then fast forward to during this, me actually paying attention in real time and having conflict with certain people, and like at work in the hospital, and the nodes were in Cancer, North Node Cancer, South Node Capricorn. I'm a Cancer rising. So my life is like changing, like everything's changing. But I noticed like I would be like running around, and there'd be like certain people I interact with all the time, and then it would just be like, as I'm doing something, light bulb moment, and I'm like, are you a Virgo? And they'd be like, yeah, how'd you know? Like, yo, the energy. And then I'd be doing something, and then like this one doctor used to always, it's like he always would, like, me and him would always have some type of beef on a Cancer energy moon or something like that, like something going on with the eclipses, and he would just be so mad. And I'd be like, and one day I was like, are you a Cancer? And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh, he's going through a divorce, blase, blase, blah. Like, you know what I mean? It was, and that's the North Node, South Node for him. Like, he is going through stuff. He was like, I just started to notice how people around me were being affected by the current energy that I knew about. And it's like, yo, this is real. This is really happening. And then it wasn't until I was like betrayed by a friend group. I had a friend group, and it was like this huge betrayal. And again, North Node in Cancer, relationship things, right? I had Pluto in my 7th, which is exposing shady people, like bringing light to those people and things that are happening. And I just couldn't let go for some reason. Even though I knew the astrology, I couldn't let go. And one day I was listening to like someone break down Mars in the signs. And it's like when someone has, in synastry, when someone has Mars in your 12th house, things get weird. Things just come up out of nowhere. You guys fight, you argue, you don't know. They like stab you in your back, and the person that the 12th houser is always like in the dark. They don't get what's happening, and things are happening behind their back. Yo, I was like cleaning, and I heard that, and I said, I'm gonna go check this girl's chart. I pulled it up, and homegirl had Mars in my 12th, Sun in my 12th. And I was like, oh my God.
And the 12th house is hidden enemy.
Again, North Node in Cancer.
Yeah.
Hidden enemies. And this was my best friend. And it's like, yo, there's mad stuff going on. And for some reason, I was still trying to hold on. Like, maybe no, maybe no. And it's like, no, girl, this is your enemy. She keeps showing you. And that's when I said, I'm going to start helping people. I want to start helping people. Because if I could have known that, I would have let go of this 2 years ago. Like, instead of every day. But the gag is, it was my Mars return at the same time. My Mars was like retrograde in Aries forever during like the pandemic. And it was my Mars return. And it was like finally time for me to step up and cut the relationship. And I cut the relationship. And I was like, I'm going to help everybody now. So I use it for healing. I use it for presence. Thank you. I use it for presence, like what's happening right now. Why am I feeling this way? How can I get through it more so than like predictive? But I feel like it's like a healing thing more so. And like a presence thing to realize what's actually happening right now in this moment.
That's such a trip, dude. I hope you guys out there are getting your minds blown as much as I am, because you know, you guys talk about sun signs and how that's like the most superficial part of it all, right? That's like the basic of it. But just understanding, just hearing you guys talk about like the healing aspect, right? And like now, especially with both of you, Ajani, and you, well, actually all three of you, like you're using, I want to say that you're almost using it like a Google Maps, right? Like, what am I doing? Where am I at? Hold up, let me put this address in right now and find out where I'm going to go from here. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And that also is mind-blowing.
I always say, God, what are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to tell me, God? What are you trying to tell me?
and you know, that kind of like falls back to like when you're looking at other things like tarot, spirit speaks through this stuff, you know? But real quick, I want to say like the one thing, because I'm into cosmology, right? Physics, astrophysics, and quantum physics. And just understanding that the way that, you know, when I listen to you guys talk about how the planets align and like what degrees they are, like each planet has a literal physical effect on the next planet next to it and on down the road. So literally our bodies are being physically affected by the alignment of the planets. It's no mystical blah blah about it. It's a literal physics thing to some degree. Yeah, Eric?
Yeah. These planets, these light-bodied energies and frequencies, everything in our universe is energy, frequency, vibration. So just like how the moon, right, it's exalted in Taurus, well, the moonlight at night, right, it's connected to the farmer's almanac, right, to a woman's menstrual cycle, to the tides of the oceans. The moon is your body, your health, your intuition, right, your mother, your inner self, your emotional mind, right, the response system. So it's very detailed, and like the moon at night helps the moonlight helps the plants and the biology grow, you know, and Ajani is an expert on that. So, I mean, you know, everything is tied together. And so I am honestly humbled every day by how literal it can be in our lives, because just like how Lady Mensah was mentioning, I see it where, you know, with my wife, my 4 sons, and, you know, all these things. And obviously you see it when you work with your clients with transits. So, you know, I tell people all the time, right, there's nothing wrong with going to a psychiatrist or a psychologist, a therapist, right? But remember, you have to be willing to share if you're there for 2 weeks or 6 months, and they have to ask the right questions. If you come to me, Lady Mensah or Ajani, you're butt naked. We see everything. You can't hide in a birth chart. So because I see everything, it's like in that 90-minute session that I have with you, like Ajani said, I'm going to give you these different healing things. We're going to work on meditations. We're going to work on your dream book, this and that, and your different emotional wounds, whether it's Pluto, Lilith, or Chiron, and you're going to be done, and you're going to be, now it's going to take time for you to integrate it, but you're going to be healed and a well-oiled machine. And then you have your marching orders to really watch and learn what these planets mean, and then integrate it into your life. And then everything slows down, you know, and it becomes really beautiful.
That's awesome. Hi, man. I love that. Super love that.
Felix.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, Felix.
No,
Can I
jump
just
in.
mention one thing?
Please,
So,
please.
unlike tarot and all the other divinations, astrology, us astrologers, we're not speaking to spirits. Like, I know you said it's kind of like the same thing, but I don't think it's the same thing at all. And again, I am Christian, so I'm not really trying to do tarot cards and all that kind of stuff. I am into astrology because it is like real, like, you know. But I don't talk to spirits. We don't channel. It's all knowledge based. It's all what we see. It's all like what we've experienced in real life. It's like the weather, literally. Like when you see storm clouds, the rain's coming. It's not like, ooh, Holy Spirit, what's going on? Like it's not, we're not talking to things, and like it's not different like that. So I feel like for me as a Christian, that helps. Like I know
Very
that.
mathematical.
Right, and astrology is not higher than God. Like God made the planets, God made this system, God made this order, and without God, I wouldn't know none of this.
Yeah.
Always.
But I think it's
Always.
kind
Can
of
I jump
ironic.
in?
Yeah,
Please.
no, definitely. But I just want to say real quick, I think it's very powerful because all of us are really Christian astrologers. I mean, and
Right,
that's kind of
right.
really powerful in itself. But yeah, go ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you were mentioning talking about cosmology, and that is also something I'm extremely interested in, ancient civilizations and their beliefs and ideas about who is this God and what are the things and how did we get here and where are we going? And the question I always ask to God when I'm going to read somebody's chart is, yes, show me. And also, what time is it? What time is it in this person's life? And I want to mention one of the authors who you, Felix, might be interested in with this cosmology piece and the scientific and and the person's name is Seymour, Percy Seymour. Dr. Percy Seymour was a scientist. Two of the books that I have, which I always refer people to when you're starting to talk about, well, this planet's magnetic, I can't remember the words you use, but how one planet will impact the other planet by their distance to each other. And when I look at the sky, and if I see the sky implanted on a chart, I'm looking at this 90-degree angle, this relationship between Venus and Saturn and how they interact with each other. The book that I love for that is called Cosmic Magnetism. And what he says in that book is that uh when the baby is born, it's like they come through into the planet, and at that moment there's an imprint of the sky that is literally, as the lungs expand, is imprinted onto that child. It is a very physical thing. And then as we grow and time goes on, Pluto is getting ready to go over my Venus. Pluto will be over my Venus next year. And so how does that interact with my body, my psychology, and my experience? And the other one is his other book is The Scientific Basis of Astrology. And it's called Tuning to the Music of the Planets. And then the first book that I read of his was called Astrology, The Evidence of Science. Super, super. He was actually somebody who was trying to disprove astrology and became an astrologer because he was like, like you can't disprove the fact that these planets, their energy field, the magnetics between us and them, how it all interacts with us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, people don't understand really the way that, yeah, I just in a basic, super simple concept. All the planets are going around the sun because they're held in by gravity. So there's a chain of gravity that's holding everything in its place, and it's not perfect circles like when you go and you look at the cosmology charts and it shows perfect circles. It's not like that. They're oblong, they move, they wobble, planets tilt, or they're not straight, they're on different axes and all this kind of stuff. So I love how science, spirituality, and even religion are starting to touch fingers. You know what I mean? Where the open-mindedness is, and just that's the mind-blowing part. And then I really like the part that really gets me is the healing, because like you guys, I've been through hella medical issues. I had diverticulitis and all that, and I would have loved to known y'all back then when I was going through my stuff and get some readings and find out why exactly all this stuff is going on. So that's super awesome. Now, Oh, one thing I wanted to say, because you brought up the moon, Eric, and I always like to point out to people that one of the oldest sayings is lunatic, and what everybody doesn't realize is that's a direct reference to a full moon. Like people acting crazy on the full moon. That's why they say, "Oh, he's a lunatic," because you're running
100%.
running around acting crazy on the full moon, and we all know what
100%.
happens on the full moon.
And usually most ERs have a spike during a full moon. One of my
100%.
good buddies is the ER
That's what I was
doctor.
gonna say.
Yeah.
As a nurse,
Yeah,
as a nurse, as a nurse, those days are lit.
Yeah,
I bet.
I mean,
Those
the
days,
police
be like, I'm like, let me look outside, and it's like, oh, it's a full moon.
Dang, it's gonna be busy tonight. I mean, the police report
Yep.
the same thing. They report more incidents on a full moon. Some police departments even going as far as to like overstaff
And also
on full
more
moons.
births.
Oh, really? That one I never heard. That's cool.
Yeah, because the water breaks because of the pressure of the full moon. So a lot of
Wow.
people's water break during like
I
full
I
moon.
heard I don't have the exact research like statistic on this, but I remember reading about like encephalitis. Like during the full moon, our brain gets full of water, and then also something about parasites acting up on the full moon. So it kind of gets us like agitated, and that leads to this thing with more hospital visits and more jail visits.
Yep, yep. Man, pay attention, y'all, because you're getting the science. You're getting the science behind all of this. Which I believe, in all honesty, kind of makes for a soft landing pad for people to be like, oh, all right, well, it's not all mystical. It's not all kind of, whatever, just not weird. It's based in a lot of science. Almost entirely actually. Listening to you guys talk now, Eric, I know you're a Western tropical, right? Is that correct?
Well, so yeah, so I'm a Western tropical astrologer, and I use principles of evolutionary astrology and Vedic astrology. Basically, I'm a Virgo Sun, Cap Moon, Scorpio rising, and I'm all about investigating the truth. So to me, I'm going to put everything in my toolbox to get to the proper answer from my client, and also for myself. But I was going to just say real quick about the moon. Remember, we are three-fourths water, just like the planet, right? So the moon, it's that water memory, and it's going to affect us so greatly, just like all the planets. These, plasmic light body frequencies. So it's all about the water. You know what I mean? But yeah, for me, astrology is very precise, and I love, there are certain things about the Vedic that I definitely respect. But I will say this: I never talk bad about another astrologer, and I hate when there's this fights and arguments and divisions. I don't care if you're Western tropical and I use the whole sign system. I feel it's more ancient and more accurate. But you can still get to the truth using the equal house, the Placidus, or the Vedic sidereal. There's just different tools and avenues to get to the end result.
Right, right. So, Ajani, what type of astrology do you fundamentally operate under?
So I studied different types of astrology, but what I end up using, my main teacher is Daniel Jamario from the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School. And well, now his school is called Turning of the Ages. They kind of broke up. Him and Kaylin Castell had a school together for, I think, 25 years, something like that. But that basically what his teaching is about a living relationship with the planet. So it's a lot of going out under the night sky, looking at the planet, connecting with it, understanding. A lot of astrologers, I don't think, know what the planets look like, and they don't go out and have that eye to eye contact with the planets. And that's a lot what the type of teaching that I would say root teaching has been, to connect with the planet and to receive the light of the planet into your eyes. And like, I love what you said about the God is the creator, and this is the creation. So we're connecting with God's creation. And then a big part of that is, I don't know what you would call, I guess we're using tropical Western, and I'm using whole houses. And then it's a lot of like Venus. Okay, Venus is an 8-year cycle. Where is Venus right now? What phase are you in within? It's like, where are you within the bigger pictures of time? And so I do a lot of transit. So what time is it? That's my, like, what time is it? People come to me a lot of a lot of times they're coming to me for Chiron timings, for Venus, Mars. I do a lot of relationship astrology. I do, it's challenging for me because I'm also trained as a nutritionalist. And so I do a lot of nutrition counseling. It's challenging because a lot of times people, I'll be like telling them and they don't really want to do it because it's hard to make those changes. It's, people get really accustomed to their ways, but a little bit I'll do with that, with nutrition and the astrology chart. And then, yeah, mostly it's just the transits. Like, for instance, I have right now Uranus going back. It's going to be going back into Taurus, and my ascendant is 27 degrees. So this will be my second pass of Uranus going over my ascendant. And I woke up this morning, like, really thinking about, wow, I only have one transit so far of Uranus going over my ascendant, and already so much has changed. I mean, I don't even recognize my life anymore. And it was kind of a little bit, I woke up with like, kind of gave me a little bit of a stomach ache because I was like, oh, it's just going too fast. Like, I'm a single mom of 3 kids. Now 2 of my kids already left home. And now I live in a big house in a different part of town, like an hour away from town. And I have a man that I love and he adores me. And it's like, 6 months ago, I would never have imagined any of this happening. And it's like a completely different life with and I'm like, we got 2 more of Uranus going over
and that's
my
what Uranus
ascendant.
does, right? It switches everything up.
Changes everything it touches. It's like radically changing. So, yeah. Thanks for asking.
Man, I'm gonna have to agree with that. I got a black eye right now. This last month has been mega changes for me as well. Mega changes. So I I think we're all kind of going through that, and I see that in a lot of my friends' lives as well. I was gonna ask you, lady. You said you're a nurse, right? So do you even if it's not like out forward where you're like, I'm going to do this, but do you ever use astrology in like when you're helping people, like you're helping patients? I know like in a professional environment, like if you're working in a hospital or a doctor's office, probably they're going to be a little adverse to that. Like, hey, don't be talking all that mumbo jumbo over here. But in your own mind, when you're helping people, does that ever factor in? Because you're looking at their charts. So you know their birthday and all that kind of stuff. So you can run that kind of stuff through your head while you're working with them, right?
Every day, all day. I do it all day. Like, to be honest, like, a lot of times, like, for instance, I had a client, I was doing, I do different kind of nursing, but my most recent one was mental health in the community. And like, I met up with this guy, and I'm telling you, like, he was getting on my nerves. Like, and I'm not normally like that. I'm like fun, happy, bubbly. Like, I'm so cool to my clients. But he was like, I was like, I got to get up out of here. Like, he is triggering me. And I was like, what is his birthday? And sure enough, we were exactly opposite. It was the opposite. Like, his son was totally exactly opposite mine to the day. Like, and I was like, oh, because he's getting on my nerves. Like, but whenever they're going through stuff, I'll like offer like, yeah, it's Mercury retrograde, so don't worry about it. Or yeah, the moon is in this sign, so you're a little more sad today. I think for me, being in the medical field and working in psych, the transit that I most pay attention to is Saturn transits, because I feel like that's when you start feeling like suicidal or like under so much pressure or something like that. So if I notice that in like one of my clients' charts or anything like that, that there's significant Saturn energy, I always tell them like, I'm not sure if you've been feeling this way, but if it's come up, I just want you to know it's because of this, and then like give them something to kind of get through it. As an astrologer, it's like, we can't solve your problem. Like, no matter what, it's like, if it's going to be a tornado, it's going to be a tornado. If it's going to be a rainstorm, it's going to be a rainstorm. If it's going to be a blizzard, it's going to be a blizzard. I don't know the degree. Is it going to be your house is under snow? Is it going to be stopping at your front door? I could just tell you this is happening, and so definitely wear some snow boots and a puffy coat and blankets and get candles. Like, no matter what, you're going to go through it. But sometimes just knowing that a storm's coming, you're more prepared. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? So yes, I do it. And when I was actually having clients, like, and because they are psych clients, I wanted to pull their chart so bad and help them so bad, but I didn't do that because it's not ethical.
Right. Right.
Well,
But with
Felix,
my clients that come to me,
what
I
you just
do
said
that.
is so powerful because, it's very specific with these transits, these alignments. Like with this Uranus affecting Ajani on the ascendant, Uranus goes back into Taurus for its final time in our lifetimes, November 7th to April 25th, 2026. So the Taurus, Sun, Moon, Risings, Leo, Scorpio and Aquarius, all the fixed signs in astrology, right? They really have to get ready because it's going to affect these great pillars of life. In astrology, in the natal birth chart, we have what we call angular houses. And so the first house is the house of yourself. The fourth house is like your home, your lineage, how you grew up, your mother. The seventh house is you in relation to the other half, relationships, business partnerships, your kitchen, all these other things. And then the 10th house, the government, the authorities in your life, your legacy, public image, and your father. So if you have got a Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius rising, November 7th to April 25th, there's going to be some serious changes and transformations really around your values, your self-worth, your food, your resources, your money, your possessions, right? What do you need, right? Not your wants, what do you need? And so this is really, and this is why astrologers not fear, but have concerns about our financial structure and our system, right? I mean, you could just be a regular Joe Blow and see that financially America is out of control and all this and that. But just that shift. Are we going to switch from the fiat currency going to the crypto and digital currency? Will it happen during this transit? Chances are it very well may. You know what I mean? So these are things that, like what Lady just said, when you are aware, then being cognizant of it and being conscious can help you integrate it and handle and be prepared for these energies so you're not just being surprised and floored.
Right. Again, going back to the Google Maps reference, they added in now where you're driving down the road and Google Maps will tell you, oh, there's debris in the road up ahead, right? Dude, I just went on a trip recently and I was out in Mount Shasta and it was dark. I was on my way back to the airport, leaving Shasta, about to fly out over here for a spiritual event that I did out there. And, it's nighttime. It was like 2 a.m. So I was a little bit on the gas pedal trying to get to the airport. And Google Maps straight up said that, like, oh, be careful. There's some debris in the road ahead. So I slowed down and I came up on it and somebody had hit a deer. And it was like right in front of me. And if Google Maps hadn't told me, I might have smacked right into that, And it was probably a truck that hit it because the thing was just blasted, But the little car that I was in would not have fared well against it, right? So I was able to slow down and like when I came up on it, like, oh, and like drive around it, So I love that. So what I'd like to do is since we all don't know where to go for astrology, first I'd like to ask you guys, what is the best way for somebody to consume astrology? Let's say you're just a regular Joe Blow and you happen across this video and you're listening to us talk. Of course, I'm going to put all your guys' connections and your information down into the description so people can reach out to you and get some readings if they want to, of course. But let's just say you're in your neighborhood, you're a regular Joe Blow. What is the best way for someone to go out and consume? Like if you were going to look for like a local astrologer, what are some of the things you would want to look for and how you would go about trying to find somebody? Because I'm sure like with every other thing that people do out there, there's going to be a lot of phonies out there who aren't using it in the proper way. Do you know what I mean? So what would be your advice to people out there on, if they're going to go out and consume astrology for the first time, what's the best way to do it so you actually get something that's useful for you?
I would like to go first because let me just. Eric said something about the financial astrology. I just want to real quick. I did a study. I don't really do a lot of research in my astrology. Every once in a while, when there's a major transit coming up, I'll see what happened in the previous times that transit happened in history, and what happened in different cultures, and so we can kind of relate to how that can show up now. I did a study of a financial astrology, and it was really tied in a lot with the Pluto transit. So every time Pluto would move into a new sign, we would adopt a new financial situation. So I can give you guys, give you the link to that article because it broke it down really good. And what it was major stuff, like when Pluto went into Virgo, we got ATMs, which made the banker be gone. The bankers, we used to have a family banker that you would go to, but went into Virgo, no more bankers. Now we got an ATM. It was almost overnight, like that. So when Pluto goes, yes, yeah. So now, when Pluto went into Aquarius, there is a major thing happening with, like what Eric was saying. Our financial system will never look the same, and we are experiencing that right now. So it's cool just to go back into history and see all those transits and be like, oh wow, yeah, that was when we went off the gold standard. I don't remember, was it Libra? I don't remember which one it was, but anyway, that's enough of that. The next thing is, what would I look for? One thing, because as a teacher, as Eric, I don't know, I know Eric's a teacher of astrology too. So we do come in contact with a lot of up and coming astrologers. And one of the things that I would tell people to look for is that this person that you're going to, who is their teacher? How long have they been studying? Let me see let me see something. Let me see your work. What did you write something? Your podcast, your articles that you put out, something like that, just to know that this person, because I have seen people that I taught them a 3-month course, say, and then they're going out saying, I'm an astrologer. And I'm like, no, baby, you're really not. You're really not yet. Like, this is not, like I told you at the beginning of the video, I did 100 readings before I went out there as like put my sign up as an astrologer. You really need to see that this person has practiced, that not all astrologers can be counselors. So sometimes you go and the person is, I saw a lot of people coming from India. I had a lot of clients from India who were recovering from their astrologer telling them that their life was ruined because of Shani, Saturn, being placed wrongly, or that the south node, north node being placed wrong. Then they think their life is ruined. So there is astrologers have a great responsibility to not tell you stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you're just look at their work, look at where they study and all that. What do you guys think? How to look for an astrologer?
I totally agree. So, like for me, I would definitely, point them to, even certain books. My book will be coming out soon, so I will definitely point them to that. But, it's important, like what Ajani's saying, like see if they have a YouTube or, blogs or different things, or reading their website, or their, their testimonials from people that have gone to them. But I also think that it's important to really start with books, if you want to learn about Hellenistic astrology. And I know, you've got Chris Brennan and Robert Hahn and, Lynn Coiner and all these different amazing astrologers, Liz Green, and, so on and so on. But, I think to me, you really want to find someone that you resonate with, because to me, everybody doesn't fit with everyone. So I never get offended. And I tell people, and you'll hear me say it all the time, even on my Knowledge is Love Astrology podcast on YouTube, even if you don't choose me, you still should get your birth chart done. Every human being, I feel like this would be a better world, right, if everybody had at least one natal birth chart reading, and hopefully it's a good one, in their lifetimes, because it really gives you such a consciousness and awareness and an understanding of who you are in relation to this world. And you also, I tell people, have grace and mercy for your parents and forgive them. Forgiveness is the gift to yourself. Because until you see your parents' birth chart, you don't really know. Because, our parents didn't tell us all the stuff they went through. There was no way we would know that. So, but if you see your parents' birth chart, oh my God, the light bulb turns on. And you're like, oh wow, my mom, oh my dad, this, you know what I mean? And then so you have more compassion. So I think that's really, but definitely you want to look at some books. If you're looking for an independent astrologer that you want to work with, like Ajani said, you've got to do some research, because I feel it's very personal, right? I never share my clients' charts or information with anyone. This is very sacred. And I see people like on YouTube or these social media sites just putting up their birth time and their birth chart. I'm like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Email me privately. No, don't put your stuff out there. I mean, yes, the government and the churches and the authorities, they know your charts. Yes, they do. Don't think they don't for 1 second. But you don't just put it out there in the public sphere, which is why for me, I don't judge other astrologers that do it. but I just have this moral code. So even in dealing with political figures or celebrities, I will never do someone's birth chart in public that is living unless I have their permission. So if you've passed away, I feel that that's fair game. You're on the other side. I can share their birth chart information and do their chart as anybody can. But, like for me, like let's say, I don't know, everybody was so into like the Super Bowl and Kendrick Lamar or even Donald Trump, right? I did their charts, but I did it in my own private meeting that I have monthly meetings called Astrological Coffee Talk with Eric, right? Twice a month. And so I'll do it there, but I never do it in the public sphere because I feel that this is an energy and a karma that I don't want to bring onto myself. So if I don't have permission, no toca. I don't touch it.
Muy bueno, muy bueno.
Sí.
Lady, your advice to the world. How would you advise somebody to pick astrologers? Where's the caution tape for you?
Okay. So, I feel like I've been studying and doing the astrology thing for so long that now it's like internet based. Like now you go on TikTok and everybody got a video. Everywhere you go, there's astrologers and like random people just saying weird stuff. Like it's just weird. Everybody wants to know astrology now. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's kind of cringy. Actually, some days I don't want to be an astrologer. I feel like, no, I don't do that. But so like back in the day when so I've been reading since 2020. I've been reading professionally since 2020, but I was reading everybody's chart, like how Ajani said, like daily, like 10 charts a day from 2016 until I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it professional because everybody keeps wanting me to be a professional astrologer for them. So I feel like word of mouth is a really good way. So like if somebody had a reading and they're like, yo, this person was good, like because you don't know what you're getting out here in these streets. And I think Eric had said something about reading books, but there's so many people that don't know astrology, don't want to know astrology, they just want to know how this is applying to me, right? So those kind of people, I feel like that's where you have to social media surf. Like if you're watching the weeklies or the dailies and whatever they're saying for Taurus, if you're a Taurus and you feel like it resonates with you, then book with that person. Like, you know what I mean? I think you need to see like who you vibe with. And as an astrologer, we already know that there's something called synastry. So you are going to gravitate to certain people and you're not going to gravitate to certain people. So I think definitely do your research. And I really personally being a reader, like I don't like having like desperate clients, like the ones that are like, oh my God, is he gonna call me back? Oh my God. Like I don't want to read for you. Because you know what, like when people are like that and they're under pressure and they think like we have all the answers, and if like it's just like girl or boy, like don't be desperate and like just going to anybody is I guess the moral of the story. Like relax, like it's gonna work out how it's gonna work out anyway. Like pray first. Just pray first and then like really see, like don't be so desperate. And that's why I feel like my astrology, my form of astrology, I call it self-care because I want to build the individual up, and then I feel like at that point the right people will come. You'll notice your energy. How did that person make you feel? Like so, I'm more like focused on yourself, kind of energy. So again, this would mean like tap in and see who you feel like is the right person to go to. And again, don't do it out of desperation or blah 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 unless that's your astrologer already. Like, we have people that have like emergency things or blah, blah, blah. But like, yeah, like don't be desperate because that's how you knock on the wrong doors.
Yep. And I think that's good advice using social media, because when I ask you that question in my mind, I'm thinking like physical area, like I live in this area, how would I find an astrologer? But to your point, it's probably much better to go and surf social media because you can get an astrology reading online. You know what I mean? You can do it through Zoom or, whatever medium that people use. And with that, then you have their, like the rest of you were pointing out, you got their YouTube channel as like a portfolio. You can read the comments, see how people are vibing out with this person, if they're getting good feedback and whatnot. So I think that's really good advice.
But even locally, you can still get word of mouth referrals, even in your town. Like get a referral. Like, let somebody tell you.
Yeah, I live on a small island, so if I walked around and asked people for their recommendation on an astrologer, I get the side eye, like, what you talking about astrology? You know what I mean? Because it's a small island.
They don't do that?
You know what? I found one astrologer on the island, and I actually tried to get a hold of her to do this podcast, and I got no response. So, the island, I'm always hella small. If you live on the mainland, you got options. Not like me. But again, the social media thing, that's probably the best advice that we could offer here, because you get the whole background. I would like, for right now, to you guys, I'd like to ask you, give us your worldview. There's a lot of turmoil out in the world. We got some real crazy stuff going on, politics and whatnot. Charlie Kirk just got martyred, and it's just every single day, if you're following the news. And I mean, I'm big into politics because I'm not religious, but everybody has the right to believe whatever they believe, and I never tell nobody not to, right? Because we all have the right to worship in the way we want to or believe what we want to, as long as it's not hurting someone else, right? That's the only time I speak out against something, is if your beliefs are going to affect somebody in a negative way, right? But looking at everything going out there, a lot of people in the religious and spiritual communities are saying, don't watch the news, don't be involved in politics. But that's our life. Your politics and your news directly affect the area around you. If you don't know what's going on in your environment, you're kind of flying blind. So I'd like to ask if you could give like your worldview of what astrology is saying and why we might be in these tumultuous times. You know what I mean? So go ahead, Eric. We'll start with you.
Well, I have stepped away from the news because, like you, my whole life I've loved politics. I mean, since a 10-year-old kid, like I can remember fourth grade being on the bus and talking and debating about Reagan when he was coming in, and then his assassination attempt and all that stuff. So I've always been into politics myself, but now I'm more focused on positivity. Because I think, maybe it started with Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton, but the vitriol, the negativity, that doesn't serve anybody. And we have to remember, I mean, this podcast will go out to the world, but we're all Americans. And I think, this division, it's really not beneficial and helpful to anybody. The Democrat, Republican, the black, the white, the Christian, the non-Christian, the whatever it is, right? And I think for me it's challenging because I have friends on all sides of every conversation and debate. You know what I mean? So I'm sort of like, hey, I'm Switzerland over here, a little melanated Switzerland, but I try to be, honest with the astrology. And for my own mental stuff, I'm always tapped in, so I know what's happening. But I don't sit and like gorge in it and like eat it and bathe in it in terms of the vitriol and the negativity. So I would always advise people to turn off the idiot box. I do think there's a lot of manipulation and brainwashing, and you're going to see that come in for a final test for the final time in our lifetime. October 22nd, Neptune will re-enter Pisces, and America's chart is a Sagittarius rising. So it has the Pisces and Neptune in the fourth house of your home, and the Neptune is film and photography, and that's the sort of brainwashing of your emotional mind of the television. And Neptune creates confusion, illusion, delusion, deception. Right? A fog, so you're not seeing things clearly through Neptune. So, and that's the modern ruler of Pisces. So, Ajani can, tell you even much more about that than me, right? But I will say that, these planetary alignments, you probably have heard in the last year and a half, 2 years, a lot of astrologers have foreseen and predicted, because these planets and these cycles repeat, like Ajani was speaking about earlier. These are the alignments with Uranus and Gemini, Neptune and Saturn and Aries that will be coming up in 2026 permanently, that are aligned with the American Revolution, the French Revolution, the Civil War, and all these things. And so the key is, I'm always, because I always put God first, it's always faith over fear. So I'm never going to preach fear to people, but I always want to be prepared, right? So I want to prepare my clients and my audience to really be able to integrate these energies so you know what Pluto and Aquarius means to 2044, what Neptune and Aries means to 2039, Saturn and Aries to 2029, Uranus and Gemini to 2034, retrograding back and forth. But, these are going to be challenging times. And so my focus is on raising your vibration and frequency, increasing your meditation, your spiritual discipline and practice 7 days a week, whatever you do. And that could be different for everybody, right? Some people just get on their knees, get in a prayer closet, right? Ajani or someone else may be like, oh, I like hiking, walking, and yoga. Somebody else may say, I like grounding and earthing in nature by their tree and breath work, right? I mean, so there's so many different things, but the one thing is that it is scientifically proven, whether it's Dr. Joe Dispenza or other neuroscientists, that when we do have mindfulness and stillness and we meditate, and even sound frequencies and toning and meditation and healing crystals and copper, all these things, we are literally changing the synapses in our brain, right? And changing different things. So we've got to really be prepared that just because you have challenging times, or just because there's chaos and storms 3 blocks away, it doesn't necessarily have to come down to your block. And so positive thinking, positive words, affirmations, whatever you want to call it, that can always change your reality every day of your life. So that's sort of my hope and my basis for helping people. But yeah, it's 2026. I mean, 2025 has been wild, right? I mean, let's be honest. Well, guess what? It's going to get a little crazier. It's going to get crazier, and that's what the planets and the planetary alignments show. But it's about how you interface with it, and then also the energy that you're putting in, right? Lady Mensah and Ajani talked about it earlier, where you could talk to these clients and you can give them all this inside information, but if they just want to sit on the sofa and watch Netflix and drink Coca-Cola and eat chips, their life's not going to get better. I can give you the tools, right? I can teach you how to fish, but if you don't go out there and get the fish yourself, you're not going to change. So it's the same thing with anything in life and these energies. And so for me, I have Jupiter on the ascendant, so I'm a pretty optimistic person. I think the sun is going to shine tomorrow no matter what. And I'm going to make sure it's shining at least on my block with my family.
Word. Ajani, give us your take.
Okay, great. Well, I feel like a lot of what Eric said is pretty much what I'm going to say. But in my words, what I would say is that I want to be like, oh, well, the nodal axis is like this. And then, this minor trine between the outer planets. And but just to keep it real simple, I did track the timing of the last time we had Saturn and Neptune together in the sign of Aries. And in America, that is when the Civil War started, like within a week of that conjunction. And so I'm looking at okay, I know that when we got that Aries new moon in 2026, we're going to have 5 planets in Aries, and it's going to be real. And so I'm thinking, what is that? What is the symbolism? I can tell you what I'm doing personally. I am not watching the news because one thing that I've learned since 2014 I read daily astrology. I read the every single day astrology, and I've been tracking patterns and do a little research, put it like an hour in every day. And one thing I've noticed is that the news is a movie. It's just a movie that is telling us the astrology. So how ironic or coincidental is it that they had that memorial for Charlie Kirk at the exact time of the South Node eclipse? Why, at the very moment of that South Node eclipse, did they during the memorial they had his voice going over the audio, and then the crowd starts chanting his name, which I'm like, okay, that's a little weird. That's a little bit, but I know because I've been watching. I see when that thing happened. Anyway, I'm not going to get into. There's every single day there's a thing that's happening in the news that I'm like, I know you guys orchestrated this, and I feel like I'm watching a weird movie, so I'm not really into it. But I do remember when I lived in India, my teacher saying hey, you guys, you're here to help people. So it'd be good to understand what they're understanding, even though if what they're understanding is a lie, it's good to know what they're thinking, because that is going to influence what, their behavior, and they're scared because they're watching this thing. And so I will kind of keep in touch with it a little bit. But like what Eric said, it's I understand. I'm looking at this, the patterns in the sky, and I understand, like, okay, this is a potential thing coming up. So what am I doing? I'm building new ways to resource myself and my family. I'm working on, oh, let me do this detox, and now we're all going to do this little cleanse, and then like, oh, we're doing strength training. So now we're me and the kids and my partner are working on, so building our sovereignty up. I'm thinking about that Aries new moon. Like I'm working up into that Aries new moon for 2026. And then from that point, we'll be strong, we'll be fit. Our connection to God is like, we're like, God, reading the Bible every day and just trying new things to integrate what, like the living Christ in the moment, like what does this mean for us, and how can we be more like following that path? Whatever, it's good and it feels right, and it's like it's very anyway, it doesn't matter. Looking at the chart, it helps to see where we could be going, but then also just not getting too wrapped up in what the movie is saying. Although looking at the news, you're like, there is some truth to it, but it's being distorted a lot. You know what
A
I
lot.
mean? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I have to agree, and like, it's always a good point to point out falling back to that Christ-like life. You know what I mean? I don't care who you are, what you believe, or what you're into. We all accept Jesus as a historical, true figure who did amazing things on this planet. So anybody, anywhere, whatever you believe, you can always fall back to that, and that's always good advice, forever and always. What about you, lady? What you see going on in the world in terms of astrology and us consuming media that's potentially, actually not even potentially, absolutely shaded and like manipulated and whatnot, but in terms of what you see going on in the world and how that relates to the alignments right now.
So, I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news since I was a teenager. I had a friend, and something went down with somebody she was involved with, and literally it was like New York City breaking news on the TV. And she was in my house with me on the phone with them, and it was literally, we were watching the news, and everything I heard in real life was not what was on the TV. I was like, oh, something's wrong here. And it was like real life, like happening live in action. So when I was like 17, 18, I'm now 40. I don't do it. And then with COVID and all that stuff, like I just don't. So I don't follow that. And with the astrology today, I feel like everything is pointing to right now, like you get close to Jesus, get to God, like pray every day. You have to exercise your faith. We're needing to have a daily routine with the Most High. That's the only way we're going to figure it out. I feel like we are like the Israelites right now in Exodus, and Moses is coming to get us. And if we're not tuned in, we're going to be left behind. If we don't have the faith and we're crying like them as Pharaoh is behind us and we're approaching the Red Sea and we're like, Moses, why don't you just leave us over there? That's what this Saturn and Neptune retrograding back into Pisces is like. Didn't I tell y'all? Like, didn't y'all see the plagues? Like, stop playing with me. Like, God is telling us, stop playing with me. And he's giving us the final opportunity because you see, like, it's going down. Like, you don't want to do this without me. Like, literally, the sea opened up for the Israelites to go through and closed on the Egyptians.
So all in all, I hear from you guys, according to astrology, it looks like we're heading into a bit more tumultuous times. A little bit more into tumultuous times. I think we all agree that the news is a bit poisonous these days. And me as a researcher, one of the things that I'm trying to do is bridge the gap between spirituality and the real world, right? Because there's a fat gap right there. And I see more and more these days people starting to take that step back into spirituality, back into religion. After what happened to Charlie Kirk happened, there was a big swell of people running back into church, right? Because people seem like, man, it's just, you need that wholesomeness in your life, in whatever way, shape, or form that you do or get that. I see that, and so I eat up the news every day. I don't watch news on the TV. I've got special people that I go on to social media, and it's people who report neutrally, right? They're going to look at both sides and say, okay, this is what this side's saying, this is what this side's saying. And this is kind of what I think the truth of it is, or you guys decide for yourself. But, they're kind of uncovering the ugliness of everything. But you guys are unique in the sense that you can use astrology to sidestep news, right? And I'm going to offer that to everybody who's watching right now. If you're someone who, because you really do need to be involved in what's going on with politics, not to the degree that you have to consume yourself with it, but we're all going to be called upon to vote, right? And if everybody says, I'm not voting because I don't want to be involved, you're giving a big opportunity for people who are nefarious to come in and overwhelm the system. You know what I mean? I don't want people to be giving your power away in that way. But with everything that you guys are saying, people can go to astrology and say, hey man, what say astrology? What's probably the good path to take in politics, which way we want to go.
Well, I want to say this, Felix. I think, what's really important that you're kind of getting from all three of us is sort of that connective thread to God, right? Higher consciousness, and to understand, or as I like to say, understand your relationship to the Most High and to, God's source energy. And to me, everything is about our present moment in consciousness, right? We shouldn't be worrying about the past. We shouldn't be fearing the future. We've really got to focus more on the now and the consciousness, right? So different science, different numbers, but basically we are only using our conscious mind 8 to 10% of the day. Most everything is in the subconscious, and that's the rote memory. So all of that is inundated with the programming that we got from the school system, our mother, our father, our elders, our siblings, the media, the television, the movies, the books. And what we're realizing in 2025, going into 2026, that pretty much 80 to 95 or 99% of it was all lies. And so that's really hard, and my years of living and being an intuitive astrologer and relationship coach and working and helping people, some of the hardest things for human beings to do is to say sorry, apologize, admit to being wrong, or admit to living wrong, to following a false teaching or false doctrine or ideology. That's very challenging. So most human beings, they struggle with that, right? Introspection is not something that is automatically given, and then you hear all these stories, you see these videos on the social media, because I didn't realize this, that there are some human beings living that don't have the inner dialogue or the inner voice. Like I was shocked to hear about that some people actually don't have that inner voice. And,
right.
That's really fascinating, but we have got to really come to a place where people realize that we are all connected. You know what I mean? Like we're connected to one another. And so you see that in transits, right? And through planets. Like we've been talking about health. Well, Neptune is disease, Pluto is virus. You know what I mean? And we see things on the 6-12 health axis with our physical health and our spiritual health, with our daily routine and with the isolation, privacy, and hospitals. So, the thing is, astrology has the answers, but it's up to the individual, right? Because, I know, Ajani, we've talked about it many times, you have clients that come to you, and Lady Mensah was referring to it. There's people that want this, like, McDonald's quick fix. Oh my God, am I going to meet my husband next year? Not if you just stay inside your house, you won't. Not if you're not, coming more into your divine feminine. Not if you're, willing to, not have an idealistic, perfect partner, So there's just a lot of switches and changes that I think we all have to be willing to make and embrace. And a lot of that is coming into our true humanity,
I think that's great advice. We all need to be accountable for the here and now. I love the fact that you pointed out being present. We all got to be present, and you got to be, put your feet on the ground and just know what's going on around you and own it and love it.
Yeah. Like it's like, for example, this is really funny, right? And I'll tell you, I haven't checked for Christmas, but I checked for Thanksgiving. But last year, Thanksgiving and Christmas was really challenging because the moon was in Scorpio. So there was a lot of intense emotions. And then, the holidays can be tough because sometimes you're getting together with family members that maybe you don't see all year. And let's be honest, there may be some people that you really don't get along with or really resonate with or like, just because they're your blood, right? So, that's where astrology can help you. So I remember Thanksgiving morning, there started to be some yelling and emotions and intensity in my home. And I just had to put everybody on pause and be like, I told you the moon was in Scorpio. Let's stop, bring it down. Let's do what we need to get done. You guys pick up this and that with the kids, right? Listen to mommy, and let's have a nice Thanksgiving. I had to recalibrate, but the moon was in Scorpio, and that's what happened. The emotions were intense, and it was Thanksgiving and Christmas. This Thanksgiving, I didn't check Christmas, just so you guys know.
Is it going to be Scorpio again?
No, way better. So it starts off early in the day in Aquarius, but by the time you're eating East or West Coast, usually I think around 2 p.m. Eastern, it goes into Pisces. So I think it's going to be a real spiritual, calm, chill, some good music, entertainment, nice Thanksgiving.
Yo, can I tell you guys a quick story of an observation, right? So one day, because I'm in the New York City area, right? So it was like around Christmas time, so it's Sag season, right? Or no, it was like around Christmas time because I think it was like one of those Comic-Con things, but it was like Christmas Con. So everybody was walking around the city in like a Jesus outfit and like Santa Claus, right? But it was a lot of Jesuses. And it was a Saturday. I went to go get my hair done. And that day, the moon was in Pisces. And we had like significant Sag energy, right? So that's why I was like, oh, look at all these people dressed up like Jesus. Like, you know what I mean? So I was walking around like that, right? Got my hair done. And then it turned nighttime. And that night, the moon was going to shift from Pisces to Aries. Literally, yo, I'm driving out and it was like everybody's like in a fairy tale. They're all drunk, going to the bars. Pisces, right? Pisces moon. And in costumes, like fair, like make believe, right? Yo, why do I hit the Lincoln Tunnel and then all of a sudden somebody gets out the car, starts punching the other person's windshield, and it was crazy. Yo, I looked up the app and it said the moon had just turned into Aries.
Wow.
I said,
Wow.
can't make it up.
You can't make it up. No, you cannot. You cannot.
And Aries is like a fighting and angry kind of sign, guys, out of nowhere. Like you just get emotionally riled up. So that was the significance. It went from like everybody being drunk, happy, and fairy tale, which is Pisces, and spiritual, because that's the Jesus, to fighting each other for no reason.
Right. Switches over to Aries, and everyone's like, let's scrap.
Well, it's so fascinating that you mentioned that because there was a club in New York City. I remember reading this article and I saw this video on social media. It's about a year or so ago. This one club, it decided that they were checking people's birth dates on their identification cards. They were not going to allow Aries in the club anymore because all the fights that would break out were from people who were Aries signs. Now, this is ironic, though, because I'm going to say this, and Aries, we love you, because Aries don't start none. Like, Aries will not start it. But, like, if you start, they're going to initiate and finish it. They will clap back, right? So it's just kind of funny, but, I mean, this was like, I didn't make it up. It was an actual club. They were like, we're not having Aries in the club no more. I was like, wow, that's kind of messed up. But at the same time, it's pretty deep.
Man, let's not get into astrological discrimination.
No, definitely not. I don't think that's cool. Listen, I love Aries. My father was an Aries. I think Aries are made. And like I said, honestly, if you meet Aries, they're like pure innocent kids, even at 40 and 50 years old. They will not start anything. But don't bring it to their front step. They will handle it. Aries will handle it, okay?
That's some more good advice for y'all. Learn astrology and get it into your business. Understand what your clientele is all about. And on that beautiful note of we can look forward to at least a nice Thanksgiving this year, I think that's a great place to wrap it up. We lost Ajani. Ajani, we love you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you guys coming on. This has been like an amazingly enlightening session, and I can't wait to edit this and get it out to the world. Eric, Why don't you go ahead and tell us what you got coming up that somebody might want to attend? Put your stuff out there. Let us know.
Yeah, man, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm always staying busy. I'm always working with clients, and I have my Knowledge is Love Astrology podcast on YouTube. And, you know, each season, at least up into Capricorn season this year, I do a birth chart sale, right? So right now we're in Libra season. So till October 22nd, I do a birth chart sale for Libra sun signs. And I also decide to throw in for a Libra moon or rising, which is the big three in astrology. And so you can reach out to me at eric@bigeastrology.com and book a Libra birth chart sale reading. All my services are on my website, and that's bigeastrology.com. And I'm all over, X and YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter under Big E Astrology. But I've got some amazing workshops coming up, and I have two of them. One of them is with the amazing Ajani Siegrist, and that is our Chiron workshop, taking you from the wound to the medicine. And that is on Saturday, November 1st, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's only $32. We're going to do a brief Chiron presentation, and then Anjani and I will do personal readings for everyone that attends, helping them to heal and really understand the wound, and then how you transmute it to then become the dynamic healer that Chiron really wants you to be. And I'm just so excited because Anjani and I work really well together. And, I like to brag on her sometimes because she plays pretty humble, but she's really a Chiron expert. And I'm pretty good at it too, but she's no joke. And so I'm excited for people so they can go on bigeastrology.com and order that. And then on November 8th, I've got another workshop. This is actually in numerology. I found out from my numerology friends. This is a year of collaborations for me. So even doing this with you guys and doing the workshops, and that's what's been happening in my life. So Saturday, November 8th, I am working with this amazing woman. Her name is Jazz Aphrodite, and she's an astronumerologist, but she does cardology. And so this is like the regular cards. And what happens is that we are going to be breaking down and doing live readings for 2026, personal readings for each person through the lens of astrology and cardology, helping you with your abundance and your purpose for 2026. And that is Saturday, November 8th, 6 p.m. Eastern. And that's going to be $46, 2.5 hours. And it's going to be it's going to be amazing. So I would love for people to come, get your wounds healed on the 1st with Anjani and I, and then get yourself ready for 2026 with Jazz Aphrodite and I. So both of those you could see on my website, bigeastrology.com. And I'm always, working with clients. And I have a documentary film coming out winter, probably January 2026, and it's called Interdimensional. And it's about near-death experiences and spiritual transformative experiences. And I'm sharing my near-death experience story in this documentary film. It is going to have a release in theaters and will also be on different streaming platforms like, I think, Prime, Netflix, and maybe Peacock. So I'm extremely excited. And my astrology book, I don't want to release the title yet. I have it, but I just don't want to share it yet. It should be going to hopefully print by mid-November, and hopefully will be coming out at the end of the year or the beginning of 2026. So I'm really excited, and I just love working with the collective, and I would love to work with you guys. So if you're interested in connecting with the Virgo Sun, Capricorn Moon, and Scorpio Rising, hit a brother up.
That's right, y'all. Get right with Big E.
Astrology.
Astrology.
Ajani, we're kind of going through what we got coming up. You got any things coming up? Eric already threw you out there that you guys are doing a collab. Outside of that, you got anything coming up that you'd like to put out there to the community?
Do I have something coming up? You know what? I am in some serious transits myself right now, and I don't know, maybe you might have noticed, Biggie, Eric, but I have not really been sharing much with people because a lot of it has been inside my own house. And like I said, I got all these planets in Pisces. I got the North Node right on my South Node. I have a South Node Sun conjunction in Pisces. And my partner has his moon at the same place as my sun, and we both got that North Node going over that. And you know what? The other thing, his Venus is at 18 degrees Virgo, where my okay, well, that's my North Node. And so these eclipses going right through there, we have been really like, I wake up every day like, who am I? Where are we? What are we doing? But luckily, thank God, we're doing it together. Every day we keep waking up together, although it's so much South Node, like things being decomposed. So the only thing I really got coming up is that workshop with Eric. And because the pain must be transformed or it will be transmitted, this is the main focus of that workshop for me, doing with Eric to help alchemize the wounds so that we are not hurting people. Because, they say that hurt people, but we can take that Chiron wound and transform it into medicine so that the pain isn't transmitted to the people that we love and we don't keep the curse going of pain cycle. We can turn it into a medicine cycle instead. So that's what I got coming up. But I really do encourage people to follow my Venus Gemstone Instagram, because I do daily astrology. It's short. It takes 2 minutes to read it, and it just kind of keeps up with what's going on. I got a Telegram group that's alive and active where I share that astrology also. If you don't want to be on social media right now, which I don't, I don't either. And one more thing, if I do have a 1 minute to say, that something that you mentioned about the Charlie Kirk thing and like a whole bunch of people suddenly coming to like getting back to Christianity because we're born in a Christian nation. You know what I mean? Like we all started in some way with those concepts. We said the little thing at the school, pledge allegiance and under God. Like we had that. So a lot of people are coming back to like, oh, wait a minute, maybe. But the thing is, it seemed a little toxic from my perspective, where I'm looking is like kind of like as a vengeance way of like, God, like, gee, like in a weird way where I'm like, I'm a little bit sketched out by it, to be honest. I can't really put my finger wholly on it to understand why it kind of feels repulsive to me. But it almost seems like a prelude to the thing I'm looking at that Aries new moon, whereas like it is kind of creating some big divisiveness where I feel like people who are really into following Jesus are like, I'm not sure that's the way that Jesus was showing us to do this thing, which is like to be really, it's not aggressive like that. It is more loving and quiet and so anyway, I just wanted, that just struck, it is a thing, like what you mentioned, it is a thing. And because something that Lady Mensah was mentioning about the North Node being in Pisces, that there is a directional push toward going into Christ consciousness, going into strengthening your connection to God. That is where we're being pushed to. And the South Node being in Virgo, releasing us from the analytics of what we thought and releasing us from getting into like the tense, needing to figure all like, is this right? And then I don't know about you guys, but I did go through a phase of that too, where I was like, I went to India for 2 years and I was studying Indian things. So I did kind of get into the analytical concepts of like, you got to do these things and do this and that. But it is, So that's all from me. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
No, absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I attended the last one where you guys did together on Chiron, right? And you dropped some knowledge that day. That was a very interesting one. And I'm on my tippy toes trying to keep up with y'all. Y'all are so knowledgeable. So, but yep. What you got, Lady Mensah? You got anything coming up? You got where your offerings are at, or you just?
Yes. Okay. So, I do this vacillating thing between nursing and my business and nursing my business. Eric has been a great supporter of me being a full-time astrologer. And I think the more and more I live day by day, I know I'm supposed to be doing this full-time. So I do have a website, lamens.co, lamens.co, where you can find my offerings for one-on-one consultations. Again, I call them self-care consultations. I like to work out with women who are burnt out, who are codependent, who are looking for self-development and are ready to start pouring into themselves. Really passionate about helping those kind of people pleasers, all that. And then also my study of astrology deepened when I became a gardener and I started gardening according to the moon. So now I'm an awesome gardener. I'm a container gardener. I am defying all of the limitations or stories people try to say about not having land and being able to grow and blah, blah, blah. So I'm very passionate about that. So I am now also offering gardening consultations and trying to help people grow their own food and be more holistic. Because, like I did say, I am a medical background and I realized that we need a full system, not just one piece. It's a full system. So I am now a holistic healer, and I like to help people grow their food and heal in general. So you can see me there. I have a YouTube channel, which is Lady Mensah. And the at of everything I'm at is grow with Lady Mensah. So at grow with Lady Mensah, and my website is lamens.co, lamens.co.
Perfect and beautiful. And I actually watched a couple of those. I think you had them on. Was it on YouTube, or I thought there was a couple on Instagram of you doing your gardening stuff.
Yes, I have YouTube, I have Instagram, and I have TikTok. Oh, and also, I forgot to tell you guys, I'm about to come out with my podcast. It's called The Energy Script. I started it on Instagram. Eric, back in 2020, 2021, I used to do it every weekend. I used to come on live and do it on Instagram. But now it's going to become a live, not live, but maybe live podcast. So tune in for that. I'm hoping to have that out any day now.
Awesome. And we support you. And just for everybody out there, I'm going to remind everybody that she lives in New York. There is no dirt in New York, especially not the city part. You know what I'm saying? There's none out there. Yeah.
I live in New Jersey.
Oh, you're in Jersey?
What do you mean,
okay.
Dirt? Yes, I'm like right there though. Like I could see New York.
Oh, okay.
I'm like 15 minutes out.
Like when you live in New York, big city, there's dirt, but I mean, you ain't. When I mean dirt, I mean farmland. Like you can't just go in your backyard.
No dirt. Yes. So I'm an urban gardener. Exactly.
Right.
So
yeah, I did urban gardening in New York. I used to grow a little bit in New York.
Yeah.
My backyard, yeah.
So I'm here for you guys. If you don't think you can do it, I promise I can help you. And
that's the point.
I'm ready to help you grow something. Like I've actually lost 40 pounds in the last year because I literally eat from my garden every day.
There you go.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. So, and it's not on a farm. So if she's doing it, y'all can do it too.
It's on a balcony, baby. I grow in the air in the balcony, second story,
That's
20 square feet.
Beautiful. Well, I appreciate all you guys, and I'm going to get all your links from you. All the links will be in the description so everybody can go and reach out to you and find out what you're doing on your everyday thing. I appreciate y'all. Love you guys. Thank you for coming. Oh, go ahead.
I didn't get to say that I'm a Western tropical astrologer. Also, I do use Placidus. I started with whole sign, but Annie Botticelli is my teacher. She does Placidus, and I use Placidus because in my study, like I said, I watch things day to day. I noticed my chart is really weird, but I noticed that the Placidus thing definitely applies in my chart and people around me. So yes, that's what I do.
All right. Thank you for that. And with that, we're going to sign everybody off. Say aloha from Maui and peace out to all you guys wherever you guys are at. We love you.
Everybody.
Get yourself some astrology. Go to these guys right here.
We'll see you November 1st. Come get healed to the Chiron with Ajani and I.
Yep.
Yes. Stay prayed up.
Get right with Ajani and Big E. They'll set you straight up.
Yep.
All right, guys. Peace out. Love you guys. Have a good one. See you in the next one.